Hi, my name is Kevin Makela, and I was a systems engineer at Starbucks. A systems engineer is the smart guy who takes the simple instructions and makes it all work. For example, the project I was hired on was to take a third-party application and install it and make it work, which sounds like, well, that should be, anybody should be able to pick up the installation manual and do it. But there's all of the other knowledge you need to know, the rest of the systems, you need to know how they're working and how this is all going to interact. And there are so many systems that it takes some studying to make sure you've got everything right, for addressing, for the printing, for the communications between one data center and another data center, what version of the applications being used, because different ones will interact with other systems differently. So I worked in the industry for about 30 years, and I went through a recruiting firm. They contacted me because they had the contract for this position that was open at Starbucks. They had to get a third-party application up and running inside of 6 months, and so the engineer who had been doing the work had just walked out on them. So the fact that I was available right away and had some experience with the kinds of systems they had, it was supposed to be a 90-day contract to just finish the installation, but things didn't go quite as planned. And so I says, can you stay a little longer? We have a little bit more problem. No, this is going to take a little longer. And finally, over a year later, they just said, we're going to make you an employee. We stop being a contractor. Could you please stay here and just take care of this system that has been, it didn't work as well as it said in the brochure. When I first went to Starbucks, I was going from a little shop to a big shop with some stuff that I'd never seen before. It was basically part of my career was getting helicoptered in on a situation when something needs to be done right away and needs somebody who can come up to speed on a dime. And that was one of the things I was really good at. Well, so the reason I got hired was to install the system for digital asset management, because up to that point, Starbucks had never had any way to manage their graphics images, and the different teams had tried to do it, but they couldn't get the consolidation, they couldn't get management buy-off to spend, I'm not sure how much, but it was an expensive system. And then, so they were limping along, having people were storing stuff on random hard drives and systems. Christmas came. Starbucks released the Christmas cups. They do that every year, and this year they were all red. And people went ballistic. It was in the news about stuff. People were saying, Starbucks is trying to kill Christmas. It kind of spun out of control, and Howard requested from the marketing people, get me all of the graphics images we have for every Christmas cup since the beginning. And we couldn't find them. There was like 30 people spent several weeks trying to find all of the original graphics images, and they couldn't. And Howard was not happy. And so that's how we got justification to put a digital asset management system in, because Howard didn't want to get embarrassed again when he couldn't bring up a graphics image. And I got the system, the third party, the digital asset management system, up and running. Then another group took it and moved it over into the cloud, because we were working on premises. Up to that point, I set it up on premises, and another team took it, put it up on the cloud. And so then I didn't have anything to do because I wasn't maintaining that. And then they decided to reorganize again and to make it so we just want developers working on doing this work. And I was not a developer. So we, in all fairness, we spent some time trying to find a place for me at Starbucks. And it just basically, the way they reorganized the teams, there wasn't a place for me. So I got let go. And then the question is, well, what do I do now? I'd been thinking about retiring, but not right away. So this was had to look at, well, do I want to retire now or do I want to go back to work? I'm still struggling with what's the right answer. It basically I could retire, I could go take a full-time job, a high-end senior systems engineer job, or maybe something like do a sysadmin job and just kind of take my foot off the throttle and go a little easier. So I'm not sure. I'm struggling with that even as we speak. In order to maintain a career in tech, you've got to keep your knowledge up. That's the hard part. But it just occurs to me, but other professions like in medicine, in order to be a doctor, you have to go and have continuing education credits or whatever they call those things. So it's important if you're going to be relevant in tech to take ownership of your trainings and make sure you you have the skill set necessary to do the job.